Today we want to talk about our unique childhood experiences. We are two different people, and that's the interesting thing about marriage. Two different individuals with two unique background experiences coming together, having to live together as adults. So stay tuned and enjoy today's episode. Hello, beautiful people. You're welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Let's Toast to Life. Today, we want to go to our childhood and talk about it and how it has formed who we are today. So, let me start with you, Lolade. How would you describe your childhood in a sentence, just generally?
I think I'm gonna need more than a sentence. My childhood was very interesting, to be honest. Okay, let me give you background. So I'm an only daughter, only girl out of 3 siblings altogether. I'm also the last born. I have 2 elder brothers. And growing up, I always got into a lot of trouble. I don't know, I just wanted to do some things, try out some things, and my parents would be like, no, don't do that. And then I want to find out what will happen if I do it, and so I got spanking experiences. Also, looking back at how I was raised, my parents were very disciplined. Their yes was yes, their no was no, especially my dad. And that would be kind of like a summary. I told you it was going to be more than one sentence.
I was saying
it's already a storybook now, but it was an interesting childhood experience. And now, looking at how it has shaped me, when some of you see me and you're like, this girl, this woman, this missus, she's very, confident, or she's very disciplined, or she doesn't hide her words, she says the truth. It's because of how I was raised. It's because of the environment that I grew up in. To answer your question.
Wow. Can we just give my dear wife a round of applause? I asked her to describe in a sentence, and my wife gave me 2 paragraphs, 2 solid paragraphs.
Okay, I'll throw it back to you. Describe your childhood in one sentence. Yeah, now. One sentence.
My childhood was fun.
Fun. Okay, full stop. How would you explain fun? Of course, you have to give me more, right? And that's what I did. I told you guys that my childhood was interesting, and then I broke it down. So break it down. What does fun mean? And now I'm starting to feel like, my own childhood was not fun, Abby. Okay. Okay, whatever.
It happens, don't worry. I'm just teasing. My childhood was fun.
What made it fun?
But the fun part of it doesn't
negate
the fact that I shared some of the things that you also discussed about, like feeling like your parents did not like you because you really get whooped a lot. I got whooped. I remember my parents, even maybe last month, were still telling me about some things I did while I was a child, while I was young, and some really nasty things I was doing. And they had to whoop me a lot of times and discipline me. But even with the discipline and with the spanking, I have a lot of fun memories in my mind, especially with my dad, with my mom. So so that's why I say it was fun. And of course, we'll talk more about our childhood, but I just wanted to just start with how do you summarize it in a sentence. But I think, apart from us just sharing about our unique childhood experiences and how we're parented and how that has formed and shaped the person that we are today, I think it's also very important to highlight how people in their adult life are products of right parenting or wrong parenting. Right. I've met a lot of people, especially while I was in uni, and I could see from their lives and from the decisions that they made that the environment that they grew and they developed in was not the best. So I I grew up in a family where we were very loving, and that's just if you've met my dad or my mom or you meet them anywhere, I just what I grew up seeing was love and generosity. I can remember every Christmas my parents would buy like bags of rice, chicken, live chicken, and as a child when they bring it to the house, I'm excited, that we have so much rice to eat and so much chicken to eat. But then my mom and my dad would say, okay, children, come around, let's open this bag of rice and let's share it into like 50 different bags, and then they share it. And then my mom would say, okay, put them inside the car. And so let's say we had like 10 chickens that we bought, 9 or 8 would go inside the car, and then they take us to different places, to our pastor's house, to some family friends, to some people who are in need, and we basically share it. And I used to be very pissed that why, mom and dad, why would you buy a lot of chicken and you only leave one at home? Why can't we eat everything this whole Christmas? And I just that sort of opened my mind and has developed me into the person I am today, where it's easy for me to let go of things. It's easy for me to be generous, and I've met people who find it very difficult to give. And if you trace their childhood, their parenting, it would be not a surprise that they didn't experience or they didn't see a lot of generosity when they were growing up. You get what I mean? And so that's how who I am today is greatly influenced by the kind of parenting and the kind of childhood I experienced, especially with my parents. Do you have something similar?
Yeah, I mean, my parents, I've always known them to be generous. I remember when my dad died and tributes were pouring in for him. One of the things that was very much emphasized was how much he gave, how much he supported the church and all. But I want to even talk from the perspective of being lovers of Christ, or being a lover of Christ that I am, right? I really love God and I always love to be involved in church activities. And looking back, it was because my parents were very involved in the church as well. Looking at my parents, like I grew up going to church Sundays,
Yes.
Tuesdays, Thursdays. Like my parents would go in the morning, come back in the evening, take us to church. They were just so committed, so devoted, and that's my life now, and it's because of how I was raised, how we were raised, and also by the grace of God, of course, right? But yeah, I have experiences where what I do now or what I represent now is as a result of how my parents raised me and my siblings. So for sure.
And that's very powerful, right? Because as kids, we see what our parents do. And I remember also growing up, my parents, just like yours, they would always take us with them to church. I knew some friends of mine whose parents would come to church but would leave them at home. And there's a big difference between myself and my siblings, how we love the Lord, and those other people. And it's just because I saw how intentional my parents were with making sure that they raised us up in the way of the Lord. So even for videos, my parents would say, we'll go to the video together. Even if you sleep, at least you are there in the church. You know your parents go to church for vigils, and today, thank God, we are still in the faith. Thank God we love the Lord. I believe it is because of the examples that we saw, right?
Yeah. So that brings me to a question and the context. Remember the documentary we watched about this family in Berlin that were poor?
Yes.
And the title of the documentary was Once Poor, Always Poor, Forever Poor, something like that. In this family, there is a grandma. She has a daughter. The daughter has children. And all through, like, there's just poverty in that lineage. So my question is, do you think that, and how likely is it possible for children who come from a specific background to break out of that background? So for example, in this case, poverty. Yeah. So maybe you grew up in an environment where your parents were very lazy. Like, what is the likelihood of that child becoming also equally lazy and raising lazy children?
Yeah, those are like what you would describe as generational patterns, right?
Yes.
So dad is poor, you'd most likely be poor, or you saw a very violent father. There's a high chance that you also might be violent.
In our case, yeah, so you, for example, you said that your dad and mom were very generous.
Yes.
It makes you generous.
Yes.
So would we say that all the children who come from specific backgrounds embody all the character traits, everything basically from that background? Always?
No, I don't think it's absolute in that way. And the reason why I'm saying is that I know of some people today who are doing so very well in their field, but they came from very humble homes, like what you would describe as poor. But today they are wealthy. I also know some people who came from homes where their parents were like, they didn't know the Lord, they didn't love the Lord, they were just rascals and drunks. But the children today, they know the Lord. And I believe, yes, your childhood plays a very huge role in who you are today. A very huge role, I would say. But you can recreate yourself. And I believe that you can give life to yourself. Yes, the first life you got was the life you were given by your parents, but you can be born again. You can renew yourself, and it's not going to be a walk in the park. It is not going to be easy, but it is possible. Everybody can do it. So there are steps that you would need to take to achieve that, but you're not condemned. So if there's anyone who is listening today and you didn't have a very nice childhood experience, and you recognize today that a lot of the things you're struggling with can be traced back to your childhood, trauma or something you experienced, your case is not fatal. Like, that's not like the end of your life. You can change, you can become better, and we can talk about how.
Okay.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense. But I guess it's the awareness, like that feeling of, I'm tired of this life. If it's poverty in this instance, for example, in that documentary, we could see the kids. The one who is the eldest, like, she's 18 or 17, and she didn't have anything she was doing. She wasn't even doing her homework. She was just basically living her life, just doing the barest minimum. And in that instance, looking at the environment and what she's surrounded by, like, the effort to recreate herself, she needs to first decide that and be aware that this is a problem. This
Yes.
poverty is a problem. I
Yes.
need to be able to break out of this cycle
Yes.
and do more for myself, and then put in the work. But also, let's even talk about the environment, right? The environment that family was surrounded by, like everybody around them is just poor, so there's also the aspect of being in a specific environment that helps you or otherwise doesn't help you.
Yes.
So if you want to recreate yourself, it's really about being in the environment where you can find that strength, and whatever knowledge you need to be able to recreate yourself. Because if you're in that environment, I'm speaking specifically now with the context of poverty,
Yes.
right, and childhood, being raised in an environment where you were living with the barest minimum, how you can break out from it.
Yeah. So it's like I said earlier, it's not easy, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, oh, come on, just get yourself up, or do this. It's definitely not easy, but it's possible. And I think the very first step would be, like you said, awareness, recognition. So if the case is you were raised in a poor home, so you would recognize poverty, and your association with poverty would be, I don't want to be poor in this life. So that's decision that you've made in your mind is like the first step. I don't want to be poor. I can flip it also to someone who maybe was raised in a house where the father was not available, the father was outside, and if you're the guy, you see how your father is acting, you have to first recognize that this is not something that I want for myself. So this is before you even start the journey of recreating yourself, but it's you deciding, is it like a decision in your heart that I don't want to be like this. And then that decision you've made in your heart becomes the springboard that can spur you to more further transformation. So now you can now start saying, okay, if I don't want to be poor, what does it mean to be rich? And then either like finding videos to watch, books to read, or just going to places where you can gain knowledge, or you can find transformation, and seeking for it, putting yourself in a new environment, within a place that has people who are also yearning for the same thing you're yearning for. Then step by step, you're pushing yourself into a new reality. And that's, but I would say the first step is that decision from within, that this is who I want to be, this is what I want for my life. As long as that decision is made, that becomes the fuel for every other action.
But it's so, being a parent is just, I think, such a huge responsibility. Looking at myself as my mother and my father's daughter, to sometimes see my mannerisms and how I react to things, and I'm like, oh my God, I just acted like my mom. So I'm sure that parents, I don't know if all parents actually think about it, but like being a parent, especially like when you give birth and then you realize that, wow, this child will become an adult, and the end product, the character, the behavior, the personality of these adults is something that I have the most influence on. I think that is very humbling. Looking at it from the perspective of a child that I am right now, and seeing how I'm so similar to my mom, I don't know if sometimes she looks at me and she's like, this my daughter is so much like me. Oh my God. There are some times that, for example, maybe I react to certain things. I'm like, wow. No,
is
this
how
is
my
just my mom repeating herself in me.
yes.
But yeah, I just find that fascinating, really.
And this is like a reminder for us to intentionally understand what parenting is about and why the earlier we work on ourselves and fix some issues or some character flaws before having children, it will be very helpful, because if you're not careful, your flaw or your misbehavior would trickle down to your kid. And it's like, we really say like father like son.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to be a parent, you have to understand that it's a huge responsibility. It's like you have a clear slate, like a white board, and what will be on that painting, on that board, is what you
Make of
you
it.
make of it.
What you write, what you paint, what you draw.
And that is not a joke.
No, it's not.
That is not a joke.
It's so humbling. And I don't know if, I'm sure there are parents who don't even think about these things. They just, okay, I want to have a child. Okay.
Yeah. Freestyle it.
Yeah, we wing it. Like, now I'm an adult and I know how I am, and I know like that, oh, this one is my daddy that I took after. This one is my mom, And so if parents would be more aware that whatever they are doing right now with their children is going to influence the future of that child to a large extent, then it calls for more caution,
Yes. And that's the flow. Every dysfunctional society can be traced to dysfunctional communities, and every dysfunctional community can be traced to dysfunctional families, and every dysfunctional family can be traced back to dysfunctional parenting. And that is the reason why we learned in primary school that the family unit is the smallest unit of a society, and the values that the kids would have and that they would take with them to the society is dependent on what they get from home. And that is the reason why parenting is so important.
Yeah, and I want to just even use this as a point of shouting out.
Yes.
When I was growing up, and like I used to watch all these amusement park where they do, like, I don't know, like a fest for children.
Yes.
And they would say, like, the MC would give the microphone to a child and be like, what do you want to do special shout out to?
Yes, I want
and
to
the child
do
would be like,
shout
I want to shout out to my mommy and my daddy and my auntie and my uncle. Yeah, so this is that moment. Yeah, I want to do a shout out.
Yep.
I want to shout out to my mom. I want to shout out to my dad, may God rest his soul, who have raised my siblings and I, right, in a way that I, as an adult, am so proud of.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I am who I am right now, and I am what I am by the grace of God and through the parenting that I had from my parents. So, blessings.
Yes. And I also want to give a special shout out to my parents, my dad and my mom, Mr. and Mrs. Olufemi Ojo. Thank you for raising, the man that I am today. I'm eternally grateful. And I always tell them that the greatest inheritance that they gave to myself and my siblings is that heritage in Christ. Just knowing God, that's the greatest thing that they've given to us, and we hope that we can pass that torch down, to our offsprings. And years later they would also be saying, "Oh, thank God for our dad and our mom." They want to give a special shout out to us too for raising them in the way of the Lord.
Absolutely. Two more things. So the first thing is, for those who maybe did not grow up in an environment that was the best, more or less, and you're out there, you're thinking, oh yeah, I didn't have the best childhood. Like Anu said earlier, you can recreate yourself. The most important thing is awareness that, okay, this is something that I have right now and is not what I want to pass down to my child. You know, it takes being aware and saying, okay, I'm going to work through this. And it does get better.
Yes.
You know, and the second thing is that for all of us, we're not perfect people.
Yes.
But the most important thing is to commit to self-improvement.
Yes.
To commit to doing better every single day, to being better, to questioning ourselves, asking ourselves very honest questions and answering honestly. Question: will I make a good father or a good mother with this my behavior?
Yes.
You know, and if the answer is no,
change.
What can I do? As in, you know, it's that simple. And be very honest, because some people are really just in their own world. They really do think that they are good human beings, but with bad behavior.
Yes. But those are very true words you just said. Yeah. And to share my final thoughts, I think this is also very important. Forgive your parents. Forgive them. If you are listening to us and you have a bad or a sad memory of your parents and you feel you were not raised well and you're holding on to the hurt and the pain, forgive them. Because you forgiving them is you giving yourself the strength and the peace to not do the same thing, but to start a new lineage, to start a new pattern in your own family. But as long as you hold on to the hurt and the pain, it will keep haunting you because you are carrying that luggage in your heart. But forgive. And when you forgive, you'd see that you'll be free to do different and to be different.
Yeah, actually, that's a very valid point. Yeah, some people have been very hurt by their parents, and I can imagine.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave a comment, share this podcast to your friends, to people that you believe or you think would find it useful. And let us know what you think about this topic. Share your thoughts with us.
Yes. Also, don't forget to subscribe, follow us, follow the podcast, and give us a rating. Our community is growing and you can support.
Yes.
Thank you.
And a big thanks to everyone who replies or tells us how they find our podcast. Your feedback means a lot to us, so thank you.
Thank you so much, people.
All right, we come your way next time. Don't forget to toast to life, because life is worth living.
Yes. Take care, everyone, and speak soon. Toodles.